Order, would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the Capital Improvements Planning Committee. Some of you are repeat members. We welcome you back. We have a new member, Al Lees. Al, representing the Finance Committee. Thank you, Al. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Get the agenda. We've got about 5 copies of the agenda here. But anyway, just in terms of when the presentations are made that we go over with, I think, Jim, we have a shorter list than what was first imagined.
Yes, that list has gotten very short.
Can you tell us who will be here today?
We have Highway here,
Okay.
the school,
I am not the representative to CIPC, so Melissa can't be here, and Michelle also is not.
okay. Evan's here for the highway. Bonnie was called for the library, should be here. If not, I can talk about what they need. Council on Aging, Beverly said she could not make it. In the cemetery, I will talk about the cemetery. So I think
Okay.
right now we have Evan as our only out-of-town guest,
Okay.
or office guest.
Well, we'll do what we can, and the items that we don't discuss today, we'll discuss at the next meeting or the meeting after that. Probably for Al's benefit, I want to talk a little bit about the format here. I'll call this introductory remarks from the chair, but I handed out a copy of the bylaws. And first of all, I would like to say we have established a quorum. We do have a quorum. The regular membership of the committee is 9 people, but 2 are not here today. That would be Brian Valcourt, he is, in the bylaws, the person experienced in the management of construction activities. And then also Melissa from the schools. But everybody else is here. And so we need 5, and we have more than that today, so we're in good shape. So we do have a quorum. I wanted to just go over the bylaws just to make sure everybody had a copy of it. It's not really anything you have to do with it, but you can look it over, and under item 11 of the bylaws, it talks about a couple of things that are interesting. Jim, I would call your attention to item number 3. It says that we review items over $10,000, but I think we changed that in practice to $25,000. Maybe someday that should be adjusted for inflation, I guess. But we use $25,000 as our guideline. But the astute readers of this will see that it says $10,000. We do urge long-range plans that cover a 6-year period. And also, on item number 12 of this, we have to have an annual report recommending a capital improvement budget for the next fiscal year, which is fiscal year '25. And also, we have to have our report to the Finance Committee and the Select Board on February 1st. So those are just to give you a little background. As you probably all know this, but I thought it was good to refresh everybody's memory. And we do have 1 new member. So the first official item on the agenda is the committee reorganization. Okay, so when we appoint a chair or the secretary, who is Muriel, it's 1 year. So every year we should renew this or get some new members who might want to serve. So I am the chair in the past year, but I would have to be reelected. However, I enjoy the job. I will continue doing it at your behest. But if somebody else wishes to step forth,
I nominate Dick Brewer.
Second.
this happened last year. I was looking for new faces. Well, we have a second.
Theo, I think, second.
Theo seconded it, okay. Are you taking minutes?
I am taking.
Or is Mira, you've taken minutes in the past. Are you taking?
She has a hard time.
I can try
Okay,
for
well,
one time. We're going to take turns, right?
If you please, yeah.
Yeah, because I can't write.
Okay, well, you don't have to be burdened with that. Jim and I were always taking minutes anyways, and we kind of got it down. So if you take minutes today, I'll do it next time.
All right.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. So do you wish not to be elected as the secretary?
No, don't need a secretary.
Okay, so we'll pass on that. All right, well, did everybody say aye to that earlier idea?
We have not yet.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'd like to be opposed, but that would be bad form. Anyway, so now we are reorganized, we're legitimate, and the next item is just to take a look at the, well, it was the bylaws, we covered that. The next item is the 5-year capital plan. Now, we don't have to spend a lot of time on this, I just want to call attention to it, though, because it has some importance. So, the Select Board and the Finance Committee requested a 5-year capital plan and a 5-year financial plan. And the 5-year capital plan is, it's on the website, I believe, the town website. And it really doesn't change a lot of what the CIPC is doing. But it sort of gives us a little different context. In the past, we pretty much went year by year, did our thing, figured out how much money we had to spend out of free cash, which is where it mostly comes from, not always, but mostly. But the 5-year capital plan is intended to look at the next 5 years and to see where the items fit, and if done right, each department should have a 5-year plan. And we don't have that from all departments, we need to keep working on that. And that way, we make a decision in a given year in a broader context. Let's say it's a fire truck, okay? Well, we should be asking, is that fire truck going to be good for the next 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, and so on and so forth. So it doesn't really change what we do, but it gives us a different look at things and more insight, and perhaps it would result in decisions that are a little different than what we would have otherwise done. The capital plan talks about how many projects are there, and there's a little diagram in here, a chart that Jim Hartnett put together. He and I did a lot of the work on this. And it shows that we have about $50 million of projects over the next 5 years, and then in future years, Jim estimated another $51 million. But sticking with the next 5 years, I mean, a lot can happen in 10 years, but a lot can happen in 5 years. But we have almost $12 million for fiscal year '25, which is what we're working on now, and $10 million, basically it's almost the same every year, 10, 11, $12 million. For some reason, fiscal year '28 has $15 million, and the total is $51 million. Now, we know that we don't have that kind of money. So the plan does talk about alternative sources, talks about getting state grants, using, like for the cemetery, we use the funds in that, that are, what do they call that? Special care fund, yeah. We talk about borrowing when necessary. We don't like to borrow. Community Preservation Act, CPA funding, enterprise funds, we don't really use that. Grant funding is the big ticket item here, such as green communities. They can be called upon sometimes if we qualify for certain projects. And we have in the past. Like in this building, there's going to be 2 heat pumps put in, right? And they were in part supported by the green communities. But it really comes from free cash. That's the biggest piece of our funds. And happily, this year, the free cash is much larger than it had been in previous years. We thought last year was good. Jim made the prediction, this won't happen again, and sure enough, it did happen again. So please keep making that prediction so it gets bigger.
Already have.
And we don't know how much will actually be expended from roughly $3 million on the capital needs. Last year, we spent about $1 million, and that seems to be the going rate. But this year, maybe it can be a little bit more, so maybe we can get some more things done. And that's really all up to you and your recommendations. And also, we do have a capital stabilization fund, It had been there before, I guess, and then it was decided to put money into it, so I believe some money was put in last year, recommended by the Finance
I
Committee.
believe so.
You roughly know what the balance?
do not.
Yeah, okay.
I
But
can find out.
it's not really important for this year because this fund needs to be built up to a level where it can support the capital funds and the needs every year. So we're in that building phase. And it says here the best practice would have a balance of 4 to 5% of the general operating budget. Well, if the general operating budget is $50 million, we know that 10% would be $5 million, so you need $4 million in there. That would be a goal. And that would help us meet capital needs every year. But as a practical matter, that's going to be a tough hill to climb, but it is the right thing to do. And if we can just put something in every year like we do for OPEB, after 5 or 10 years, you've got something. So this is a good thing. I call that to our attention because that is a source. I do not think we'd be calling on that this year. I'd hope we wouldn't need to, but that's there. So that's all I'm going to say about the 5-year capital plan. I just wanted everybody to have the full context. I'll be referring to this from time to time. If you're bored with football on a Sunday afternoon, you should take time and read the 5-year capital plan, okay? That's the assignment, that's the homework. Okay. Now, we can start with the projects for today. Jim, I guess we'll start with,
Planning, Gail, are you going to speak on the planning request?
So, yeah, Mike asked me to fill in for him with the
okay,
Westport South Coast Bikeway.
okay. If you wish, you could come up here to, Gail, to be heard more clearly. Do we have to shut off one of these microphones because
No.
they echo back?
No,
Fix
fine.
that?
Hi, everybody.
Good to see you, Gail.
I'm Gail Rodricks, Bike and Walking Path Chair. I'm also representing Westport for the South Coast Bikeway Alliance.
Okay,
So just in a nutshell, we've got the Mass Trails grant this year to extend the Quequechan Rail Trail behind LePage's and to White's. And so right now, that's a 3-step process. Right now, they're looking at the feasibility and some design work and working with conservation to talk about that. But Mike, then the next thing for the Mass Trails, through every year, you go into the next phase, and there's 3 phases. And the final phase is construction. So that's our plan, but he's also thinking about, with that Mass Trails grant, you have to have, I think it's 20% match. And we've got in-kind services to do that for this time. But for the next application, we'll probably be looking for some kinds of funds. We are also applying to CPC to get, to extend the rail line to Old Bedford Road. So that's, he sent me this, he said, estimate cost is 1.9 million, and some of that is from the state. So, and then 20% of whatever we get, we have to do a match. So we don't expect to ask the town for money, but I think Mike is thinking along the lines is that we might be able to tap into this committee for some of those funds. I'll read this to you. Westport's contribution to the regional South Coast Bikeway and greater extent planned biking facilities connecting Providence to Provincetown. The project will maximize the grant and state funds to the greatest extent possible, but local match will be necessary. And the other grants was Mass Trails, Westport CPC, and we're on the TIP, the state TIP for a safe crossing light, and, you know, designing so it's safe for bikers and walkers, Sanford Road, the intersection of Sanford Road. Do you have any questions for me?
I have a
Not sure if
question,
I-
Gail.
Yes.
I have the submission here, and the 1.9 million is mentioned.
Yeah,
So, as you break that down, I'm trying to get to what the town would end up needing to do here.
right.
Is it 20% of 2 million, or is it 20% of a lesser number based on the contribution of the state and other sources?
Yeah, so that's a good question, and I'm not sure what Mike had in mind when he wrote this. Let me see, so it was almost 70 grand we got this year. So 70 times 3 is, let's see. Yeah, I'm not sure if that, the main 1.9 would be the construction, because really that is the most expensive part. I believe, Jim, you might know this, there's a formula they do, it's $1 million every mile or something.
Yeah,
They
I've been away from
have,
that for a while, but they
Yeah.
do, for every mile of railway, they have a certain
yes.
estimated amount.
So, go ahead.
Do you know what they're looking for this year? Are they doing design or planning?
So it's my understanding that PAR won the RFP. PAR Corporation did East Bay Bike Path, so they were leading the charge 25 years ago. So when you think of this extension, it's only about 2.7 miles is from LePage's to White's.
Okay.
And then our portion, then we would want to go up Route 6, which we're thinking will engage or be talking to Mass Dot, because they're going to be doing that. And then our portion, again, will be, I think it's 2.7 miles from the intersection to the Dartmouth line. So, so that's almost, it's almost like less than $1 million, the cost. And I believe that would be, what he's thinking is that's going to be
Yeah,
the 3 parts.
okay.
And so right now, it's, we gave money, not sure how much money that was for PAR to do design concepts and feasibility of where we can go on the, if we can still go on along the water, but there's a lot of erosion behind the, White's owns that property. It used to be the old video store. I'm not sure what's in there now. But, so that's where we are. Some design work this time, and then it's my understanding the next one will be more design and engineering.
Okay.
And then the last one's the construction, the asphalt, and
This would be a multi-year project?
it would be,
Yeah.
yes, it typically is.
I was just trying to get a number to plug in this year as part of the capital
Yeah, that's a
needs.
good question.
Maybe you can.
So,
work
yeah,
with
so
you on this.
I think my understanding is this year they're not looking for construction money, right? They're
No.
not there, just
Yeah,
design, feasibility, and preliminary design type studies. So what I mentioned to Mike briefly was that maybe we could recommend, and the last few years, we've been able to use ARPA funds for grant match.
okay, yep,
Previously to that, we had put a small sum of money into a warrant article that could be used for grant matching funds, and
okay,
maybe we consider that again this year
Okay,
going forward. So if a grant does become available, whether it's a bike path or whether it's something else, we have a funding source to provide a match. 'Cause
Yeah.
sometimes these grants come up in the middle of the year,
yeah,
and we can't wait to town meeting to get the funds, so
right,
this would give us a funding source going forward. And I think Mike wanted to make sure that we're at least aware of the project for
Yes.
the outgoing years, either 2028 or 29, that there may be some construction at that point. What I found with bike paths and these street construction projects is if they get picked up by the TIP,
yeah,
Transportation Improvement Plan for the South Coast region, the state and federal government usually fund the construction of the project, similar to what we're doing on Route 177 and Tickle Road with a roundabout. The state and federal government will pick up the construction cost once it's designed, so it may not necessarily be a full capital project this year,
Yep,
but if we could look at maybe putting some money aside,
Yeah.
matching grant funds.
yeah, that's exactly what he wanted us to do, is make you aware. I do have concept drawings with me if you wanted to see, you know, what a 5-foot path would look like on New Bedford Road. I have copies today. I don't know if you'd like to see that.
I don't-
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to mention is the economic boom that we expected to help. I just had lunch with, breakfast with Bonnie D'Souza from Mattapoisett, and they did the Shining Tides reel. Have you seen that? Yeah, anybody aware of it?
Yes.
So I work for the Y, so it's off the Y property, Dartmouth branch, and it's beautiful. You can see videos, drone shots of it. And Bonnie was telling me that they have a line where they can measure how many riders come, and collectively, I think it was over 100,000 people in that. That community is, she told me, is about 4,000 during the winter and 6 during the summer. So that's a big jump.
Would that be an annual number?
I think that was annually.
It's only
Yeah.
been open for a year or so now? is it?
Yeah, it's only been like a year and a half, maybe.
It's pretty incredible if you ever get down that area. I mean, not even so much riding your bike,
yeah,
but
there's-
walking. It's an elevated path that goes along the water behind the reservoir. Is it Reservoir Golf Course?
Yes, reservation.
Reservation, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so go down there on a nice day and there's hundreds of people walking.
yeah, so they are expecting an economic boom. We also see it as, and I'll have one go this side, one go that
Okay.
side. There's 3 concept drawings. And then this is just extra, but this will be a part of that package.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm looking at it.
There's 3 different drawings.
Oh, it's 3 different.
Yeah, there's 3 different drawings, yeah. Yeah, so you'll see it'll say,
I get it.
it will say, it should say, yeah, north of Route 6. So that drawing is existing, they overlaid the existing, and then they did the projected design of how that is going. So, South Coast Bikeway, before it started, was thinking of that northern route being transportation.
Okay?
People really don't want to ride on Route 6.
Yeah.
They're going to put bike paths there, but I don't think it's a preferred and safety.
Okay, well, that's helpful. All right, so maybe, Jim, you can work to give us a number here, you know, by February when we have to have our report done as to what you think would be this year's.
And I can double check with Mike too and see if he has any other.
Okay,
And they'll
Dick, I
open
just
up
have,
the questions. to-
yeah, I just have one quick question.
yes.
How many years have we been in the design phase, and how much has the town spent?
Ooh,
Well, so there was an effort in 1992. That was the first bike route that was led by Steve Willet's uncle. And I think there was probably, I have all the paperwork. I think they paid $1,000 for a feasibility study back then, which is,
But over time, I mean, have we spent over the last 5 or 10 years, you know, just to pick a number out of the air?
As far as town money, I would say, under 10,000,
Okay.
probably under
Yeah.
All right, that's,
5,000.
that's fine. I
When we
just,
say design, and you know, it's generally been studies through Serpide,
yes,
feasibility studies through the Trails Grant. We have
Yes.
not spent any significant design money yet.
Fine, okay, thanks.
yeah.
Any other
Yeah.
questions from the committee? Okay, Gail, you?
Yeah, and then one last thing I wanted to add to is the match. So we've gotten in-kind, we have an engineer who's retired, he's young, but he's volunteering to do some of the design work, and that adds up to the amount of money, I think it's around 9,000 we have to come up with, and Boy Scout buy-in to maintain the, the bike path. There is what they call it Westport Extension, it's the last portion they did in Fall River, and they have a Boy Scout troop that is probably, that was his Eagle Scout project. So he has a little QR code in there, and he maintains, he does a great job. I don't know if you've been down there lately, but it was always this tangled wood, and it's all cleared out, so it looks nice. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're engaging more of the community buy-in
Okay.
for that.
Okay.
Okay?
We thank you for being here. and
Thank you.
The drill here, of course, is we don't vote today.
Oh, sure.
We take all these projects and line them up, and
Yeah.
somewhere around late January, early February, we put them in
Yeah.
priority.
Okay, cool. And we're also, I'll plug it out, is this on cable? So we're having a bike meeting today. It's an in-person meeting, 5:30 to about 6:37 at the library. And we're inviting all our committee members. We have a new committee member. You voted him in. Thank you for that. And we're going to go over all the projects and all the things. And this, I would say, would be for our bike group, has been the most productive year. You know, first we had to build trust, and now we've really made some headway, so.
Yeah, I feel the
It's-
momentum here.
It's exciting. I am a very patient person, so I think that
Good,
pays
we
off.
appreciate that. Well, thank you for being with us
Okay,
today.
thank you.
Okay. Highway next, right?
Yes, I think we have Evan here from the
Evan?
highway department.
Hi, Evan from Highway Department, Highway Foreman, just sitting in for Chris. He couldn't make it. He had a prior appointment for this. I don't know if you have copies of already kind of what we were looking for, or,
Yeah, we do. We have,
We have an abbreviated version of
okay,
here.
I have 7. I can pass copies around. I don't know if it's,
is this what you had in mind?
I have that, and then I also have just kind of some brief description and brief numbers.
What's in here? Is it-
It may not be.
He handed it out.
Yeah, if you have copies already.
I got
Okay.
7 copies.
Yeah.
That's there.
Was it on the backside? Ah. Side and save money.
Thank you.
Pass it.
No, this is a different, this is more detail.
Okay.
This is the detail for your numbers.
See, I like the way the highway department did this. They put out 5 years looking down the road. That's a good practice thing.
Try to keep up with sometimes maybe minor changes here or there.
Yeah, sure. So do you want to talk about the request that those would be on the two listed,
Yep, so the first one's gonna be a 6,500 dump truck. It's gonna, it says new, but it's gonna be a replacement too, because we have a 2005 Silverado. It's got 267,000 miles on it right now, and it's actually suffering from GM lifter failure, so it's almost there. It's almost, it's a surprise it's still running. So we'd be getting rid of that and then adding this truck. It's a non-CDL dump truck. We usually run 2. We only have 1 now, so 1 went to surplus a couple years ago. And then the second item would be a replacement generator for the building. There currently is a generator there. It's undersized for the building, and it's a little inconsistent in its operation. We actually had a second generator, standby military surplus generator, that we would have in an emergency. And this year with our normal maintenance and kind of check up on it going into the winter, the motor side of it run, but it didn't produce any more electricity. So it wasn't, being military in the age of it, to
Okay.
find parts for it's very difficult. So we have the generator for the building. Like I said, it's old and inconsistent and undersized. So if that generator doesn't run in the event of, blizzard, hurricane, whatever, we not only don't have power in the building, but we can't supply the town with fuel because our shop supplies power to the pumps.
Now, I was trying to match up these two forms where we have the details with
It
the
doesn't match.
the 6-year that, was that? You have to come in.
Doesn't match.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it doesn't match. So like on the form, this is item B, and I guess it's on here too. There was a pickup truck. Pickup truck for 74.
This one says pickup truck, dump truck and trailer, and instead it looks like
That-
it was switched to,
That's previous year.
That's
Oh, okay.
125. 120. This year.
oh, that's fiscal 25, okay, 26.
That's what
Yeah.
was sent over, though.
Oh, okay.
So
All
you're
right.
asking for a heavy truck, is it?
Originally, it was, I think it was supposed to be a heavy truck, and then we kind of downgraded a little bit for this truck.
And the price on that?
Right now, we're expecting, I'm still waiting for finalized pricing from the dealer, and then the upfitter who would upfit the dump truck body on it. We're talking with them, and their recommendation, we're right around 143,000, whether I know the heavy truck was more money before.
Yeah, okay, that matches up now. I was looking at the wrong column.
And the generator? $20,000?
And that would be installation and everything.
You can have that.
And there was a third thing, or was that it?
So just two.
Okay. And this is for, on the agenda, it says 24. It's 26, right? Fiscal year 26.
It'll be FY '26. Oh, no, FY '26.
So we're in 25.
And then '25.
Wow. Time flies. Okay. Questions from the committee to Evan about these items? There are any, and I think they're fairly clear.
Yeah,
You need to plow the snow. It's going to snow again, right, one of these years?
We've been too lucky the last few years,
Yeah.
and it makes me a little bit worried, so,
Yes,
but
yes.
who knows, to be
it is New
determined.
England.
When you order a truck, once it's approved, let's say at town meeting, what's the time period? How long does it take to deliver?
The one that was approved last year, ordering the truck and getting it to the upfitter, it's like 10 to 12-week turnaround time is what I was told.
Oh, okay, that's
So,
reasonable.
and then usually the upfitter usually is a pretty quick turnaround, a couple
Yeah.
of weeks. Because they already expect the truck to be coming in, so they already have like the necessary things to be put on it.
okay. So further questions for Evan?
Just if you could,
Indeed, Mel?
Just quickly, so the request form is not actually accurate. You want to go into your detail as the one that is being requested?
Yes, please, yes.
Okay.
Well, I think it does line up with the revised,
Well, there's no generator, for example, in the request form,
The original,
the original
yes,
request.
the original one is.
That was kind of a last minute thing. 'cause
That's
we're-
okay,
we're
that's
preparing for
okay. I'm just
winter
trying to
and-
figure out which piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. So it's the 26 column, which is highlighted, and it has the two supporting forms.
Right,
So
okay,
I think
fine,
it completes the picture.
great.
Good, good.
could you have April just send over a list of your current vehicles that are registered in
Absolutely.
years? I think, yeah, she's done it before, so.
Yeah, I know, we have an up-to-date one, so we definitely have that done.
Okay, any further questions? Everyone, we thank you for being with us today and presenting. You've heard me before, what we do is you line these all up, and sometime in January, early February, we make our selections with the money we have. And we always very much supportive of what the highway department is
Yeah.
doing.
Thank you.
Yes, we do want to have the snow plowed. What if-
Yeah, and Dick, I'd like to give a shout out for the great work on Main Road.
Oh, yeah,
And, I
yeah.
mean, you guys did a fabulous job.
Thank you very much.
You really did.
Thank you.
Just don't forget the last part of it. That's where I live. It's over. But it's time to come, I'm sure. That's a big job, too, because you got sidewalks there.
Yeah, that's, when you mix sidewalks in, it's a whole
Oh, yeah, that's a,
other thing, so.
people are asking me, so how come we don't get us to relax?
Babe, a little bit of baby steps.
Yeah, right. Again, thank you for being
No,
here.
thank you very much, appreciate it.
Have a good holiday.
thank you.
Okay, and Jim, you're going to take care of the library for us? It's just a couple of...
Yeah, I think they just have at this point their HVAC system, It is currently working, but it is aged, was put in 2006 and 2009. They usually have a 15 to 20-year lifespan on these. They did get an estimate of $106,000. They have concerns just because of the storage of material that they have to be in air-conditioned and treated areas so they don't go bad. I did reach out to Kathy Stanley, our energy consultant. So we went out for a bid town-wide to hire BTQ to be available to analyze all the buildings for energy efficiency. And through that contract, they have the ability to replace heating, air conditioning units in any of the buildings under that same contract, so we wouldn't have to go out to bid again. But they also have access or knowledge about any grants that are available, incentives. So he's going to go out to Joe Bliss from BTQ and Kathy Stanley, our consultant. I'm going to go out to the library over the next couple of weeks and see if it qualifies for any type of grants or incentives. So they will take a look at that. He'll also
Okay.
take a look at the units and see what he thinks the conditions of them are and, you know, how much life we can get out of them if they remain in place.
All right. Well, it's a pretty big ticket item, $100,000 for
I was
the
gonna say,
HVAC.
If I remember correctly, I think this was on their list last year.
Yeah, sounds familiar. Okay, any questions for Jim on this library item?
I mean, it's often, usually we wait till things fail before we replace them because that's the way we do things here, but
Jim, do they need to be replaced in, as a four-pack, or can we stagger it over 2 to 4 years, depending upon how they match up?
it's a good question. I would assume we could stagger them just because they went in at 2 different times, but I'll have them check and we'll get back to you. It's a good
Just
question.
curious, because it may be, you know, spreading out the cash flow of the town over, let's say, a 4-year
Yep.
period of time, as opposed to 100 and some odd thousand in one lump.
We will check.
That helps.
Yeah.
Okay, so that concludes the library. D, the Council on Aging will not be presenting today, the schools, neither the schools. So I guess the last department to discuss is the cemetery, and you'll lead us through that, Jim?
Yeah, and I don't even believe I filled out a, so we're looking at, currently been designing for about a year and a half now, the next 2 sections of the cemetery, which would be on the north side, east of the current garage. They're probably at about 75% design. They're going to go before conservation in December or January. We would really like to start, we'd like to get it cleared, stumped, and rocks removed out of those sections, and then finish it so it can settle for a couple of years before it is used. It's typically how they do it. So we would be looking for funding this coming spring. I don't have a number yet. I'm waiting for the engineer to get back to me with a number. They're looking to go before conservation. He said January or February. We're pushing him for December or January. So we should have, I will have a better number for you by January. Hopefully a better number for you by December.
Well, what I have, it's on one page. You got the cemetery truck, 50,000. You got this inset that talks about the expansion,
Yep.
and it says an estimate of 200 to 400,000. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So that would be for the cemetery expansion. The other thing that they've requested is a truck with a trailer hitch with a full bed and extended cab, which would be about $50,000. Their current truck is falling apart. They try to keep it, they have a couple of trucks, but the one they use to carry the burial equipment around is the blue pickup truck, which is in pretty poor shape. I went by a few times over the summer, and they have to jump start it every day and fill up a tire every day. But, those are things that can be fixed, and they
Yeah,
have
but-
fixed them, but it's
Nowhere to live.
it's past its time, and it's to the point now where they're having trouble getting an inspection sticker for it, so.
Now, two thoughts here. One is the cemetery fund, perpetual care fund, can that be used?
It can be used, and we haven't done any analysis on that, so we will take a look to see
Yeah.
where we are with that fund. We've bought a few things, we've purchased a few things over the last couple of years out of that. We bought a tractor, We bought a small excavator, and we did use some of that money for repairs to the garage, which was done mostly by Diamond.
Right.
And new septic system we put in as well.
And I was wondering, with this expansion, is this, do we have all the land spoken for, and is this the maximum?
This is pretty much it,
Yeah,
yep. It's tough to say, but they're filling up quick.
Yeah.
You know, we had a section that opened up a couple of years ago, and it's filling up quick.
right, right. Okay, questions for Jim on cemetery? Okay,
And again, I hope to have more detail on that in another month.
yeah.
When should we stop looking for another
Yeah,
site?
yeah.
Yeah, I think we should have started years ago.
I agree.
It's been talked about over the years, and I
Mm.
think there's been some, you know, initial looks, but it's, you know,
Time
there's
to
been
sell.
talk about maybe the old high school property, you know, something to consider up in that area. We don't have a lot of options as far as town-owned land, so it's something we would have to purchase, most likely.
I think it's overdue to start looking at it. If you start projecting 5 or 10 years, you look at the demographics of the town, you look at the expansion of the town versus where it was 20 years ago population-wise, this new section is not going to last that long.
And things are changing a little bit. We're seeing a lot more cremations. And they can put one full burial and 2 cremations in one plot. So, you know, we're using up a little bit less land
Yeah.
for the number of burials that we're having. Some cemeteries are just going to cremations. There aren't too many, but, you know, that may be the trend going forward. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, there's a number of things that should be considered with, even with these sections of the cemetery. Should we allow headstones, or should they all be foot markers? You know, the amount of time and effort that's put around cutting, every time they cut the grass around all these stones, and then plantings, and, you know, loved ones have memorials around the graves with different trinkets, and some are glass, some are cans, trees are planted. We really need to tighten up some of the regulations going forward. They do a nice job at the cemetery, trying to accommodate everybody, and, you know, it's a tough thing over there, right? You know, they're trying to keep the people that visit content, and be courteous and so forth, but it's difficult, and with staff getting cut, you know, over the years, we don't have the ability to
Yeah, yeah.
maintain some of these things. You know, you see at St. Patrick's Cemetery in Fall River, I think they did that years ago, back in the 80s. Their newer plots are just flat stones.
Yeah.
You know, and you can cut a plot, you know, in an hour as opposed to a full day if there's stones there, but, yeah, just something to consider going forward. Outside of this committee's jurisdiction, I guess.
Yeah, but this is important to give the folks who are listening in or look at the video later, the context of what we're talking about here. And that's the obvious question with this expansion is, we pretty much used up all the space. That's a problem. Okay. All right, well, anything else? We talked about the truck there, so. But I was going to ask that, on the truck, is that replacing an existing truck or is this new?
It's replacing an existing truck.
Okay, that's the one you said is
Yeah.
falling apart, okay. All right, well, that's it for today. Now, what would Jim, would you be having the other departments that didn't make it today coming in? And I'm particularly interested in the fire department, because we had the handout, and that's quite well done, and it's lengthy. There'd probably be some extended discussion on that. And if we do the schools and the fire on the same day, that might be a lot, or maybe that's all we do that day, but you'll work this for us next time.
Yeah, I think we could have the school, police, and fire. The police, I think, right now is just, it may have been a fourth thing, but I think they're looking for their cruisers that they request every year.
Yeah.
Trying to think offhand, there may have been one other item.
Yeah.
Fire department will take a few minutes, and the school department has a list that's
Yeah. Okay,
some time. The other departments that we missed tonight should be relatively quick.
Council on Aging.
Yeah, Council on Aging really has nothing for this year. They're looking future years.
Mhm.
But, yeah, we can get, I think we could do it in one night.
All right. Well, just for the benefit of others, including Al, tonight, it's been a fairly short meeting. We generally don't like to run more than 90 minutes, and we seldom do. So usually it's an hour to an hour and a half, an hour and 15 minutes being probably more on the average. So that works out, so we can all get home at a decent hour. The two other items here. One is the next meeting would be December 5th, Thursday, December 5th at 4 PM. If we maintain the existing schedule, I assume people are comfortable with that, at least for the time being. But I did want to point out that Melissa Pacheco, who couldn't make it today, asked if, maybe at the next meeting, if we could have a discussion as what is the best night to have the CIPC meetings, because she's having difficulty with a Thursday day. So I'll just put that on as a discussion, but I'm not suggesting we change it. I don't think we should get everybody's input. And you have other things to do, and the other days of the week may not be suitable, so we just want to talk about that a little bit. But for the time being, we'll just go with the Thursday date. I know you can't make it, Al, as you mentioned earlier.
No,
but so be it. If we get a quorum, we'll just, you can always watch it on, the video on YouTube. Probably wherever you are, I assume you'll stop what you're doing and watch it on
Absolutely.
live.
Must-see TV.
That's right, absolutely. Now, we do have an item here approving of the January 12th, 2024 minutes. That seems like a long time ago, but it wasn't that long
And
ago.
it may be the 11th minutes. I'm looking, I had, the minutes say Thursday, January 11th, the agenda says the 12th, so I would go with January 11th.
Oh, well, it's,
Just the
Minor,
typo
we
there.
will-
No, that's my
I don't
typo.
think anybody's going to complain.
Yeah.
So what is the pleasure of the committee? Do I have a motion to accept those minutes?
I'd make a motion to accept those minutes.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those minutes are approved. And Jim, you're taking the minutes for today's meeting?
I am.
I'll do it next time, okay? All right, we'll have an adjournment, but I wanted to ask under what is called the topics not anticipated. I don't have any for tonight. I don't know if anybody else does. If not, then it would be appropriate to have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Aha. Second?
Second.
We don't want that motion to fail for a lack of a second. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? If there is no opposition, the chair declares the meeting to be adjourned. Thank you.